A 35-year-old mother of four fatally shot in front of one of her children by a neighbor. Tonight, calls growing for the shooter's arrest.
Charge her. You know who did it. Charge her.
Police say Ajika Owens was shot through her neighbor's door on Friday. This photo from the family's attorney showing the bullet hole. The incident coming after a long-standing neighborhood feud escalated between the shooter and Owens over Owens' children.
My daughter, my grandchildren's mother, was shot and killed with her 9-year-old son standing next to her. She had no weapon. She posed no imminent threat to anyone.
A child then told police there had been a dispute over an iPad and that the suspect had thrown roller skates at the children, according to a police report. The report says Owens then knocked on the suspect's door. That's when the suspect fired the fatal shots through the closed door, according to witnesses in the report.
The mother went to get the iPad and you shoot her? Who does that?
Owens' children calling on other neighbors for help.
Her children ran to my house, banging on the door, asking for us to call the police that their mother was shot.
Police say the shooter, who is a 58-year-old white woman, is now the suspect in an active homicide investigation, but has not been charged.
I wish our shooter would have called us instead of taking actions into her own hands.
The deadly incident putting a renewed spotlight on the controversial Stand Your Ground law, which allows people to defend themselves with deadly force if they believe they are in imminent danger.
And any time that we think or perceive or believe that that may come into play, we cannot make an arrest. The law specifically says that. And what we have to rule out is whether the deadly force was justified or not before we can even make the arrest.
The investigation revealing a history of conflict. Police say they were called to the area at least 6 times in the last year and a half. One report released by the sheriff's office saying, quote, neighbors' kids are screaming and yelling and are being loud. They are screaming and playing football. Owens' family saying the suspect had directed racist language at them in the past.
She called them racial slurs, the N-word, slaves.
Police are still seeking information, saying they have plans to interview Owens' children, some of whom witnessed their mother being killed, according to police. One of those witnesses, her 12-year-old son, heartbroken.
I just want to thank everybody for coming out for my mother.
All right, with that, Stephen Romo joins Top Story Live tonight. So, Stephen, I got to ask you, law enforcement saying there was an ongoing feud between both neighbors. I mean, look, we've covered this story before, neighbor versus neighbor, nasty neighbors. How did it get this crazy?
Yeah, it's a great question. Going through these incident reports that the sheriff's office sent us, these complaints were things like kids trespassing and being too loud, mostly centering on these children, and going through it, all of a sudden turning to the next page and seeing this shooting. It's not really clear from the documents how things escalated to this point, but one thing is for certain, people are demanding answers to that question.
Yeah, Stephen Romo, you wonder how a mother could die because of this. All right, we appreciate that. The family for Ajika Owens is demanding tonight the suspect in this case be arrested. And joining us live right now, civil rights attorney Ben Crump, who is representing the Owens family. He joins the broadcast from the side of the road in Orlando because he's actually on the way to meet with them right after this interview. Ben, thanks for taking the time to talk to us tonight and explain to us what's going on. I got to start with the family. How are they doing tonight?
Obviously, they're overcome with emotion, Tom. It is devastating to AJ's mother, and it is just devastating on a whole different level when you think about her children saw her be shot and killed. They're dealing with a lot.
Ben, you're a lawyer here, right? I'm trying to understand this. We've done a lot of cases on Stand Your Ground. There have been very high-profile cases in Florida involving Stand Your Ground. But this one feels different because you have a neighbor going to another neighbor's doorstep. And from what we've been told so far, that one neighbor shooting through the door and killing this mother. Do you see anything here where that can be argued, that it was Stand Your Ground, that she felt threatened, the neighbor that was inside with the door closed?
You know, people will argue whatever they can think of to try to justify killing a person, but there is no justifying this. This 58-year-old white woman was in her home behind a locked door. She did not have to shoot through the door. She could have simply called 911 if she felt in fear. We have multiple witnesses now who said she knocked on the door. She said, "I know you hear me," and then the shot came. I mean, it was no way she should feel that this person knocking on the door would be able to cause death to her or intimate bodily harm. And if she did feel fear, call the police. Why shoot through a metal door? And we produced the pictures of the door showing that the door was clearly shot through. And there's no way to justify this. It is sending the wrong message to America that you can shoot black people for knocking on your door or ringing your doorbell. We just dealt with this in Kansas City with the teenager Ralph Yaw being shot for mashing the doorbell. And we just think it's the wrong message, America.
Ben, you know, we heard from police there. There is a homicide investigation. The neighbor is the prime suspect, but no charges have been filed. Have they been able to explain to you why that is?
They have not been able to explain to us with any degree of persuasion why this 58-year-old white woman has not been arrested yet, because there's nothing they can say to us that if the roles were reversed, that they would not have arrested a black woman from shooting through her door and killing a white woman in front of her young children. And so they continue to try to say they need to get the probable cause. Well, the probable cause is she shot through a door, killing a woman. I mean, what more do we have to give you? They said they needed to talk to the children. They've now talked to the children. They said they needed to talk to a witness. You had witnesses there on your telecast giving statements. There are no more excuses. Arrest her so this family can have due process of the law as any American citizen. We know she's innocent until proven guilty, but you can't shoot black people for knocking on the door and go home and sleep in your bed at night and let it be swept under the rug. That's why people are so outraged, Tom.
Ben, have you seen any evidence? Have you heard of any evidence? We know this started with some type of dispute over an iPad. Some type of skate was thrown over. It hit a child. Obviously, both sides were very heated. Have you seen any evidence where the family, the mother, unfortunately, who's now dead, would have threatened this neighbor in a way where she felt compelled to shoot behind that closed door?
We've saw no such evidence, and more importantly, no witnesses have offered any such evidence that we are aware of. And we've talked to several witnesses now in the neighborhood, and they talked about the history of this particular renter. Kept calling on the children saying that they're in her field. She didn't own the field. The owner said that the children could play in the field. There is on record that she said all kind of racial epithets to the children, telling them this isn't the Underground Railroad. So we want them to look into any kind of race motivated bias as the reason for this unjustified killing and this assault and battery on these children, because it is unacceptable, Tom.
We got to go to break, but real quick, how much time are you going to give police before you take to the streets? How much longer are you going to give them in this investigation?
Well, the families are going to continue to try to push them to do it, but the activists who have seen this before are going to be demanding arrest immediately, because, like I said, we know if the roles were reversed, a black woman would have been arrested. And all we want is equal justice. We don't want a different set of rules when our loved ones are laying dead on the ground, Tom.
Benjamin Crump for us tonight here on Top Story. Ben, we appreciate your time. We know this is not easy.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.